Good evening, friends, and welcome to yet another very exciting session with Desh Kapoor. Welcome, Desh.
Thanks so much, Jaydev. Thank you.
Yeah, so in today's session, we'll be talking about a lot of things, especially with regards to the Sabarimala gold theft case, and now there are some links to Sonia Gandhi. So we'll see how. So coming to the first point, Deshi, that Chief Minister of Kerala, Pinarayi Vijayan, has inquired about the connection between the accused Unnikrishnan Potti and MPs Adur Prakash and Anto Anthony, who had bought the accused in the Sabarimala gold robbery case before Congress leader Sonia Gandhi, who is under high security. And a picture of Sonia Gandhi with the accused Unnikrishnan Potti and gold merchant Govardhan from Bellary, who bought the gold, has surfaced. In one picture, Sonia is receiving a gift from Govardhan. The second picture is of Unnikrishnan Potti tying something on Sonia's hand. Anto Anthony and Adur Prakash are also with her. So this is, this whole Sabarimala gold theft case is getting much murkier day by day as the Kerala High Court has ordered an investigation, and the SIT is investigating a lot of things each and every day. This case has become too hot to handle, and that is why even CM Pinarayi Vijayan also, is somehow trying to get those photos of Sonia Gandhi before the Kerala election next year. So, what is your take on this? This is a huge story.
Yeah, thanks, Jaydev. So it's always good to come to your channel. See, this the eye on the temple gold and on the household golds has been there in terms of Congress for a long time, right? So when it comes to Sabarimala and Padma Swami temple gold, I'm not it's very disturbing. But I'm not completely surprised that somehow they are trying to hand over blame to each other when all of them would have to be involved to actually pull this off. I cannot believe that the Kerala Chief Minister has no idea about what was going on. And it was somehow two ministers of his, or two MPs, senior MPs of Congress, who actually got this whole thing done without anybody knowing within the state government or the state establishment. I think they are just trying to, push the blame on each other, and meanwhile they'll keep on doing the things that they are trying to do. So this is to look at it as, a casual kind of a thing that has been going on. The way it was actually always shown about selling of the Indian murtis as antiques and all that. We know that, there have been some reports and some allegations about how Sonia Gandhi's own family in Italy was always involved in these kind of transactions. And many more people who were linked with Congress were also involved with all those, that kind of trade. There have been, quite a few reports around that. Now, in that vein, when you look at it, we know that this is not just one theft. It has to be an organized network. There has to be political patronage and shielding of all these criminals. And the abuse of access goes all the way to the top in terms of Congress and other parties as well, because after all, there is a reason why only the Hindu temples are in the grip of the government of India and not any other place of worship of any other religion. Because they, from the very beginning of time, they have been actually the center of all the social savings, social grace, and actually social wealth. It was said very, Angus Madison had done that whole research and said that 27% of India's wealth was always in the hands of like 27% of the entire world's GDP was in the hands of India. So India actually had 27% of the world's GDP. Now, strangely, nothing really changed in terms of the overall GDP before the Islamic times and after the Islamic times. What had, in my view, what had really changed was that the money had changed hands. Money had been taken out of the temples, and we know the temples were looted. And if despite that, the overall GDP had remained the same, it is because the money had changed hands from the temples, which were the social repository of all the wealth of the community, to a select few, which were the Nawabs and the, these kind of sultans. And when the British came, it became very, very easy for British to actually loot India because they did not have to actually go to the local temples to loot the wealth. What they did was they actually looted the Nawabs. After the Battle of Plassey, the amount of money that was stolen, it was 800,000 tons of gold that was, or like pounds of gold that was actually sent to England. There is a there is a writer, Brooks Adams, and he was a great grandson of John, who was the president of the United States. He had said very clearly, it was a money looted from Battle of Plassey that actually made Industrial Revolution in Britain happen. And he gives complete details of how after Battle of Plassey, every so-called innovation of the Industrial Revolution actually happened, whether it was steam engine or anything else, printing press and all these things. He gives a detailed account of all that. So what I'm trying to say is that even after that, there was enough money still left in the temples, and we know that these guys had their eyes on. Today, when we look at it, the recent figures of the household wealth that India has is between 34 to 35,000 tons of gold. That is the amount of wealth that India has currently. The amount of wealth of gold that the temples have in India, that's 10,000 tons. Entire US has 8,500 odd tons of gold. All the top 9 countries who have gold put together do not have enough gold as just the Indian households have. That is why when actually in elections they were talking about the redistribution of wealth, Congress was saying redistribution of wealth, after having an inventory of all the gold and everything else that all the households have, and then redistributing it. And then, you remember that famous phrase of PM Modi, that they are going after your temples and Mangal Sutra, which some people actually thought was in bad taste when it wasn't. It was actually a very accurate account of where this whole mindset actually goes to, and it's not like something like that has never happened. These kind of things have happened before. Many people may not realize in 1933, Franklin Roosevelt actually issued an executive order 6102, where US citizens were forced to surrender gold to the government. They were forced. The same thing can be replicated within India if an unscrupulous government like that of Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi ever comes to play. Because these guys have absolutely no scruples or no morals left. That is how they work. So what was done by Roosevelt in 1933 could always be done in India, and all that gold can also be stolen. And that is what Narendra Modi ji was trying to suggest in his statement of Mangal Sutra and temples. they cannot, because they do not have the power to do the 1933 Roosevelt kind of a thing. They are going after the temples, just the same way as the Islamic, the plunderers and looters and all those invaders were trying to do, because they are no different, because that's what they have been trying to do. So in my view, I think whether it is the leftists like Vijayan or it is Sonia Gandhi, they all are, peas of the same pod. I don't trust any of them. I think they are just trying to deceive the public in general and also the media in general. But they're all in it together.
Yeah, because this is a huge international smuggling network of temple idols, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So it is these kind of things. This kind of crime cannot happen as a one-off. It has to have a network and many different actors and players combined together. It cannot be just one. To say that only Congress and only the Gandhis were involved with this and it was a one-time thing. No, it wasn't. It cannot be. There's far too big a thing. There are people within the temple boards. There are people around the temple boards, the people within the Hindu community there who are probably compromised. There are people within the Kerala government, the Karnataka government, like when it happens in Karnataka, but Kerala government, and in the people who are working along with those parties in the India Alliance. All of those people are actually involved in all these things. It can't be a one-off thing. It's just too big for that.
Yeah, and also the fact that there's this person called D Money or Diamond Money, and the SIT has, he has traced him. And apparently, according to Ramesh Chennithala, who's a senior Congress leader, and he gave the information, and the SIT team was dispatched to Chennai. They traced this guy D Money, and who is an antique dealer, and so he's being questioned by the SIT. So this is even getting murkier, and SIT told that D Money and his associates were introduced to him by people linked to Jayalalitha. So this group was deeply involved in gold and idol smuggling. So this is a huge network beyond India.
Yeah, it is. And there have been people who have worked on these things and trying to bring the the whole temple stuff back. But it has been going on because there are people who do not think that it is worth anything. They only look at it in terms of money and gold and all those things. They don't understand that temples in themselves are actually living organisms in terms of the energy consecration that has already happened there. To play around with that is to deal with fire, but it doesn't come out in the normal way. It has to happen in its own way. The problem is that by the time it actually happens, the devotees, the Hindus at large will actually be the biggest losers. And that should not be allowed to happen, because there needs to be some kind of awakening in the entire India and amongst the Hindus, and especially in South, because that is where in the North, there aren't any real temples left. That is the fact of life. Because until Birla Temple came up in the 1960s or so in Delhi, there was no big temple created in North since the time of the Islamic invasions. That is the reality. In South, those temples were still there, and more temples were created, which were actually alive organisms in terms of the pran pratishtha that was done in a certain way, and the consecrations were done by really big yogis and rishis. So they can't be lost. We cannot lose them. They are the biggest ensurer of our future generations' well-being. We owe it to them. So I think in that way, when I look at it, I think we all need to wake up, irrespective of where we are, because every temple, every murti that we have, and every consecrated space that we have is our collective wealth and collective responsibility also.
Yeah, because you can imagine crores and crores of money, almost every day, is given as donations to temples like, Tirupati Balaji and other, Padmanabha Swami temple. So you can see you can just imagine the amount of wealth and gold, in these temples, like you earlier pointed out. And this is, under the eye of international, smuggling networks, isn't it?
Right, exactly. And even after they have, looted so much has been looted from the Indian temples, from the Hindu temples. Still, there was so much of stuff. I mean, most of the Europe was actually built, especially the UK was built on top of the wealth they had looted from India, and all that wealth actually originated from the temples. All the stuff that the Islamic invaders, the Mughals, the sultans, all the wealth that they had was actually looted from the temples and from people. So all that happened between the pre-Islamic time, the Islamic time, and the British time was that from the pre-Islamic times, the wealth moved from the temples and the social areas to actually to hands of few Nawab, sultans, and like Mughal emperors. And when the British actually invaded India, they took the wealth out. That is why the entire GDP of the country did not change from the pre-Islamic to Islamic times. But when the British actually took it away from the Nawabs, suddenly it went down from 25% to 3 or 4%, because they did not have to go to everyone to actually loot the wealth. They only had to loot those few Nawabs and few kings, and to make it happen. And that's exactly what they had done. But despite that, the temples still have enough gold, which is more than the amount of gold that US has. That is the strength. And that is what they are after.
Yeah. So, Deshi, coming to the next point, is now that Sam Pitroda, the overseas Congress chief, has strongly defended Rahul Gandhi over his German trip, and said that Rahul Gandhi met the people on India's behalf and speaks the truth when he raises key issues. So this is another kind of hilarious comment from Sam Pitroda. But in the end, Sam Pitroda, Rahul Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi's foreign trips, it seems that the BJP is just questioning, and they're just taking the Gandhis lightly.
Yeah. See, we have to understand that like maybe a lot of our, like, it's not maybe, actually most of the journalists have either forgotten their basic civics class that they were taught, those civics books that they were taught when they were in school, or do not understand the constitutional framework at all. In the Indian constitutional foreign policy structure, this kind of role of representing India is given to only three kind of people. One is Prime Minister, second is the External Affairs Minister, and then if there are parliamentary delegations which are created specifically for this purpose. You cannot have every Tom, Dick, and Harry go around and start giving mandates internationally on behalf of India. That in itself is unconstitutional. But since when have the Congress ever done anything constitutional about India, whether it was emergency or it was NAC or it is now? They think they own India and they can do whatever the heck they want to India and about India anywhere they want. I think at some point this needs to be put to bed, because like whatever they are doing, whatever Rahul Gandhi keeps doing outside, his remarks and his stuff is actually used, by NGO reports, by the foreign media pressure campaigns that are created, right? And also in the EU parliamentary debates, it is used everywhere. Whether it is democracy ratings and all those things, because that is how they actually ding India and keep India under control. And like, shame on us that we allow this thing to happen. Sorry. So we allow this thing to happen, because this creates it creates external pressure loops. It creates the entire basis for narrative warfare against India. And then it, creates also the basis for foreign interference, because they say that, oh, like, you know what, India is an autocracy. So since it is an autocracy, we can actually come in and we need to establish democracy here. So how do they do it? They actually do through interference, just the way that they say they want to do it in Venezuela or Iraq or Iran or Libya or wherever it is. Then India becomes a very easy hunting ground for all these people, which should never be allowed. But it is our collective failure of how we have allowed this entire cabal to actually function within India and do whatever the heck they want to do. Because see, we had talked about this even in case of Operation Zeppelin, right? About how Sam Pitroda's own home in Chicago was actually being used, according to the reports by Mossad in Operation Zeppelin, to do the Hindenburg report kind of backing and promotions and all those things. He or people linked to him were directly involved with all this. So it's not the first time that this has happened. He and whatever he tries to do with Rahul Gandhi is always there. How they both go around meeting Pakistanis or the Ikna people who are Islamists and jihadi, basically Jamaat-e-Islami people, and they work with the Pakistani representatives and Pakistani cabal to actually create campaigns within India. So it is it is just a sad situation that India has to deal with this kind of characters who go around destroying India all the time.
Yeah, and the funny part is now, after Shashi Tharoor praising Prime Minister Modi, it is Digvijay Singh. He has praised RSS and Modi and Advani, and he praised the organizational strength of BJP and the RSS. So what is happening to the Congress party? All the Congress senior leaders are praising Modi ji. So
see, the thing is, it is more a comment on Indians than a comment on BJP. These guys, especially people like Digvijay Singh, they really think, they are convinced that Indians are idiots, that Indians forget everything, that Indians have no brains at all. That is why they can go around and play and fool Indians all the time, the way they want. How can one forget about how, what he was doing when he released the RSS, 2611 RSS ki sazish? The kind of things he said, he actually said on the stage that Pakistan was not responsible for 2611, RSS was. That was his statement. So does he think that as collective group of people, all the Indians, wherever they are such idiots that they don't remember anything, that they can just go, like whatever they tell that they have absolute amnesia, that they can say and people will believe them. How I mean, like it is. That is why I'm saying it is a comment on us all, not on BJP or RSS. It is a comment on us. It is a direct challenge to all of us that we can fool you the way we want, when we want, and how we want you. And we need to think how and how and why we should even deal with such people, because the sad thing about about India is that there is no opposition in India left now. They are all anti-India cabal. To say they are anti-India cabal is not to be pro-BJP. That is a fact. They have forgotten that they were fighting BJP. They are coming out and fighting India itself and Hindus directly. They are attacking them. And we can't pretend that it is only a political opposition anymore. It is not. These guys have to go. India needs an opposition which is actually good, pro-India, but has political, ideological differences or political, narrative differences with BJP, and that's fine, and that is required actually. But what we do not need in India is an anti-India cabal pretending that they are an opposition, because that's what they are trying to do. So India needs to get rid of these traitors and these kind of people who are openly treating everyone like an idiot. I just feel ashamed that we can even tolerate such people, who think that we have no brains. we have complete amnesia. We don't remember anything. Even in the time of internet and AI, we still can't figure these things out. Is that what they think?
Yeah. So, sorry. Coming to next point, Deshi, and now after an exile of 17 years, Tariq Rahman, son of Khalida Zia, he is back in Bangladesh, and we know what is happening to the Hindus of Bangladesh. We saw two, young men, Hindu men, being mob lynched, and one was set on fire. And we know the kind of chaos that is unfolding in Bangladesh for the past few weeks. So, how does this guy Tariq Rahman? How do you see this his entry? Changing the situation.
Right. So one thing I'm very clear about is that India cannot go out and attack Bangladesh, and the reason is not anything else. The reason is that Bangladesh is a proxy of Pakistan, and Pakistan itself is a proxy of China. India as a nation, which is strong and powerful, cannot fight a proxy of a proxy. That's what Bangladesh is. So anyone who has ever fought a proxy of another power always loses. Whether it was, Soviet Union in Afghanistan, whether it was US in Vietnam, no matter who it was, when you fight a proxy of another power, you always lose. And that is the reason why Ukraine is being used against Russia, because Ukraine is just a proxy of NATO against Russia. Unfortunately, Russia has had no other alternative but to fight that proxy. India should not fall into that trap, because what India needs to do is actually use other means to achieve what needs to be achieved. Bangladesh is actually a petri dish and a laboratory of all the intelligence forces out there. We know that many people, many intelligence officers, operatives, have been targeted and have died there in the recent, 1.5 months. So India does not need a pro-India guy right now. If India's intelligence, establishment is thinking properly, what they need are ways to handle the situation, have enough forces in there which are countering each other. That's what is required. Because if the game is dirty, then let everyone play dirty then. In terms of BNP, Tariq is the BNP, guy. He's anti-Awami League, fine. And he has been ambivalent, or even like anti-India at times. But and he has also tolerated the Islamist forces and other things. But so was the case with Taliban. Isn't India working with Taliban to actually take on Pakistan? So, like, is he a counter to like Yunus and like all that Yunus represents? In terms of the deeply embedded, Western NGO finance networks and the liberal, so-called liberal establishments and the deep state and all those things. Yes, he may not be a pro-India, but he's a transactional guy. And so was Taliban. So is everybody else. Like Ajit Doval ji had said long time back that those, like if you pay money to a jihadi, he's willing to work for you. Like he's up for sale, basically. And that's what he has said. That like he said, if we pay them enough, they can actually work for us. And like I think somehow, or in some way, they found a way to work with Taliban. I think India needs to find a way to work with the different forces within Bangladesh, as well. India needs to create its own proxy within Bangladesh as well. India cannot be fighting a proxy of a proxy, which Bangladesh is. So, and he's not married to the Western NGO statecraft and all those things. So he understands the power politics also, this guy, Tariq Rahman. I think he may not be an Indian asset, but he can be a counter to the Yunus, establishment. So I think India needs to find such figures with whom it can work in different capacities, in different ways, to actually create the right kind of situation within Bangladesh. So Yunus and his masters cannot do what they think they want to do.
Yeah, and also let's not forget, Terence Jackson, who was found, dead in Dhaka. He was said to be behind an assassination plot targeting PM Modi, if you remember.
Right. Yes, because there are reports. Like obviously, in such reports are never corroborated, never confirmed, never hardcore evidence is never found. But there are reports in various media outlets where not all of them are mainstream media or verified, but there are unverified reports which say that 17 American operatives, 7 or 8 Pakistani operatives, and quite a few, half a dozen, like even Turkish operatives were found dead, like in Dhaka area, like itself, in different hotels at different times within the last 2 months. So who is working with whom? Who is working against whom? That like one cannot truly say all the time. But somewhere this war is happening. Whether all these were like done by each other, trying to do turf wars, or was done by say Chinese or the Russians or the Indian intelligence, nobody knows. Nobody will ever know. But one thing is for sure, that Dhaka is actually a petri dish and a laboratory for all these intelligence wars and battles which are being fought. That is very clear. If that is true, then I think whoever is structuring the Indian response needs to understand and plug into those battles which are happening and see how they can influence it in a way that helps India rather than go against India. And that is why when you see the protests are happening even against Yunus, then you know that like certain different forces are trying to upend each other and like fight it out. So I think that will happen. Unfortunately for Bangladesh will become like another Afghanistan. They do not realize it now. They will realize it after 5 years, that they will have nothing left. They were at a position where their per capita had risen, above India's this per capita. They were doing extremely well, but they think their religious and ideological fanaticism is far more important than their well-being and the well-being of their own kids. Then so be it. But the thing is, the future of Afghanistan, Bangladesh and their kids will be no different from that of Afghanistan and Iraq and Libya, because they are willingly embracing all this.
Yeah, and also we supply electricity to Bangladesh as well.
Yeah, I think that many people criticize all these things, but see, these operations and other operations are extremely important to maintain a presence there. How that presence is worked out, how that presence is structured, is up to the different groups within the Indian establishment that need to take care of. We only see it in a certain way. Oh, they are giving electricity, they are giving some food, they are giving. It's far beyond all that. So I think that presence needs to be kept within Bangladesh. That engagement needs to be kept and maintained and even improved. If it is a battlefield, then you can't leave the battlefield. And it is a battlefield.
Yeah, and also, one thing I fail to understand is this mob which lynched Deepu Das. They worked in unison, and so they must be paid by some, force or some government, because why would they, work in unison and do this horrible activity?
Yeah, because see, the thing is that all these kind of mobs, whether it was in Operation Searchlight or like later on the Razakars and all that, there is a potent mix, and there are different levels of different people who are out there and who work on it. There's a certain level which is paid. There's a certain level which actually incites the religious, fanaticism and bigotry. And then there are people who actually go ahead and do things. It was so shameful to see that there were people who were holding their cell phones and recording while that person was dying and burning. That shows the complete lack of humanity that entire society has. It's become numb. It has no humanity left. If your only response to a person being burnt and killed is to record that, then where is the humanity left in you? There is no humanity left. That society has become a civilizational desert. That's what it has become. So, in my view, I think there are different levels of idiots who are used in different ways. Some are used with money, some are used with the religious fanaticism and that kind of ideological brainwashing. And, those like that kind of thing. Some get a high with all this. Some are pervert enough to get a high with all these things. And there are enough of such pervert people who think this is a great thing to do to any other human being, because that's what they have been trying to do. And I think it's time we look at them in that way, that here is a society which has more number of people who are devoid of any basic human feelings and morality and integrity than people who are actually for it, because that is why that society has become what it has become. And there are enough people who are willing to use that, all those things through money and whatever they have. But it's a mix of both money as well as the religious ideology that is creating this kind of situation.
Yeah, Snehal has a question. Is freeing temples from government control still in the agenda of the NDA government?
I think it is. It's just that like somehow that agenda has not been fructified. It's not been, like brought up like in that kind of a strong way. And I think there are enough of hyenas and vultures out there who can actually descend upon these things in a very quick manner if it is done, and it can be lost forever. So I think until and unless there is a structure that is provided, a structure where this thing can be handed over to the right kind of people, I doubt that this present government will actually go ahead and work on it that strongly. Because if like we were discussing, whatever happened in Sabarimala, whatever happened in other temples, like we will be fools and idiots to actually believe that people within the Hindu community were not involved. They were involved. That is why it has happened. It is far too big for just our adversaries, anti-Hindu, groups to go around and do all these things. It's just not possible. So if the rot is there, then that rotten wood needs to be taken out. A proper structure needs to be put in. So these things cannot, happen. Maybe that thing has not like evolved to that point as yet. That is how I would look at it.
Yeah, coming to the last point, Deshji, with regards to Trump, and he said that Merry Christmas to all, including the many sleazebags who loved Jeffrey Epstein, and he lashed out at Democrats, and he's saying that all the list will come out and all those things on his Truth Social of who went to the island, attended his parties, and thought he was the greatest guy on earth, and then dropped him like a hot brick. So, what is? How do you see? Do you see more files being, coming out in the open, more photographs of all these politicians and maybe music stars, movie stars, and so forth?
Like I just find this whole episode so funny, especially with Trump. First, he was saying that there's an Epstein file. I'll bring it out. Then he said, well, and Kash Patel also came out and said the same thing. Well, there are no Epstein files. Now there are Epstein files. We all know that now. They are being declassified. Some names are redacted and some things are redacted out. So now they are there. And then he says these files will become even more potent later on, and like more names will come out and more things will come out. The thing is that like this is a situation where it's not just one party, one area, or one kind of people who are involved. There were people across the board who were involved in this. Some reports have said, well, it was Mohammed bin Salman was also there. There were like other people were also involved from different areas. So this kind of stuff would keep coming out, and those people whose names he brings out, do you think they'll keep quiet? They'll also do. If they could actually go ahead and have Epstein killed, that's what people say, because such a person would hardly commit suicide like with no nothing there, and suddenly he gets everything and commits suicide there. Like it was a classic case. But do you think such things won't happen? Such kind of people will allow all these things to go out so easily? I don't think so. I think there will be a backlash if those names, if all the information is brought out. I think he is trying to do damage control, because MAGA itself actually went against him when he said that there were no Epstein files and all these things. And suddenly, the MAGA said, well, we brought you for only this, and now you are saying there is no such thing. So I think all that is happening now when he is doing another U-turn. They are there, and these are people who are involved. So I think he's just trying to do damage control until a point when, like, MAGA, something new comes up, when MAGA is not really that concerned about all these things. So I think he's just trying to buy time for himself. I don't think all the names will ever come out. All the people's details will ever come out. He can threaten the way he wants, but he himself is going to be threatened by those people then. So
that was a wonderful session, Deshi, and we'll see you again next week. So thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Jai Hind and Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram. Thank you.